Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us to learn a bit about a green amendment and what that could mean for Michigan. As we consider it a just solution. And like I said, it's beautiful outside, so really appreciate everyone for just being on this video call with us tonight and spending some time with us in community. First, of course, I have to mention the Michigan Climate Summit is coming up in just about 2 weeks. So if you somehow have not gotten your ticket or plan to get your ticket and just been waiting to the last minute, there's still time. Join us in East Lansing on June 12th. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to, of course, have art and music as we always do, some fantastic panels, so much to learn and so much community to be with that day. So Erica should be dropping links in the chat for the things I talk about as we go through. Direct yourself over there and grab a ticket. We are still actually recruiting just a few more volunteers. So if the ticket price is high or you really want that behind the scenes look at how things go on, you can also sign up to volunteer with us for the day. And then just a couple weeks after the summit, we want to give everybody a chance to really be heard. And the National People's Hearing, Michigan version of it, is coming here to Detroit. So on June 27th, we'll be gathering to talk about the issues that really people are concerned about in their communities, whether that's air quality, water quality, data centers, land use, all of the different environmental justice issues that we all have in our communities and experiences that we've had. And this is a national tour that has come together and been going around the country. And so the People's Environmental Justice Advisory Council will be there to hear from us, and we'll be bringing people from all around the state to Detroit for the day. So hope that you can join us and invite your community members to join as well. And then this webinar today is a part of our False versus Just webinar series. And so this is when we take a chance to examine what false solutions that are really focused more on profit than environmental and community concerns. And we compare those to just solutions like we'll be talking about tonight with the Green Amendment that are more community focused. And if you want to learn more about that, there'll be a link in the chat. You can watch some prior webinars that we've had on issues like citing renewable energy in your community, data centers, and more, and then some information on just what we consider a false solution or a just solution and why and where that information came from. And then we want to invite you to be a part of our My Community space. And I feel like I pressed this 2 times, but I might not have. And My Community is a place where you can interact with people all throughout the network. You can share your events. You can share opportunities for people to get involved with your causes or look for others. It's also a place where we host our courses related to the False versus Just Solutions series. And so we have a course in there on solar energy and how that works and kind of dispel some of the mistruths that are out there, and also how things like community solar would work if we had access to that in Michigan. And then we've got a course in there about data centers and what the concerns are around those and some of the solutions coming out of communities. And of course, we want to ask you to volunteer with us at MyCan. And so if there's an opportunity around the Climate Summit, as I mentioned, but we are actually building up a very robust volunteer program that'll be all throughout the year and on many different issues related to climate and with many of our partners. And so definitely would love more people to sign up and get involved with us. And that all brings us to tonight. So here we're going to be talking about a green amendment and how that could be a just solution for us here in Michigan. And we have 4 speakers with us tonight. So Rachel, forgive me, I do not know how to say your last name, and I'm not going to attempt it. Well, maybe I will. Giampetroni, right? I probably completely butchered that, and I apologize and hope that you can correct me when you come on. And after that, unless Rep McKinney is on with us, we'll start off with him, and we're going to hear from Rep Donavan McKinney, and then the founder of Green Amendments for the Generations, Maya K. von Rossum, and then activist and leader in the state, Bill Knapp, and how you can get involved with the Green Amendments for the generations and a Green Amendment for Michigan. So to start us off, I don't know, did anybody see if Rep. McKinney joined us yet? Of course, he's very busy.
Yes,
You are here.
I'm
Great,
here.
great. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can see you. Perfect. So
Hey,
Rep.
good evening,
McKinney,
everybody.
yeah, you're one of the sponsors of legislation around a Green Amendment for Michigan. So could you tell us a little bit about why and a little bit about that work you've been doing?
Yeah, for sure. I just appreciate everybody on the call. The Green Amendment is something we've been working on for the past couple of terms now in the state legislature. Myself and State Senator Sue Sink decided to really do this and take it head on because we need a constitutional amendment. We have to get two-thirds of the vote in both the House and Senate to put it on the ballot. And so the people of Michigan can vote and make sure we strengthen our Constitution. Now, I've been working on environmental justice issues since, long before I became a state rep. But one thing that I got completely fed up with was the Eagle permitting process, dealing with our air quality and how things are done to approve permits for, corporate polluters in our communities, where we have, so many of our residents already sickly and just adding on to, respiratory issues, these are nature in our communities. We have high asthma rates. I think we have some of the highest in the country. We have zip codes in our community. By the time your child hit the age of 5, they have a 70% chance of developing asthma. And so, this is something we've been working on, and we need the Green Amendment to make sure that, we meet the thresholds and that corporations meet the thresholds and that people have the power to sue. That's really what this is all about. People power, residents in our communities have an ability to say, hey, you guys are having environmental injustice harms in our community. We're going to sue you. We're going to hold you up in court. And it's just an added layer of protection for our residents and a tool that people can use if they fed up, just like me, with all the corporate polluters in our communities. And so that's why the Green Amendment is important. Like I've led the legislation, me and State Senator Stephanie Chang, on our POCA legislation, which is, Protecting Overburdened Communities Act, dealing with our air quality. But like, this is more than just our air. This is about our water. This is about PFAS, our forever chemicals. I think I just read a stat recently that said by the time your child at the age of 2, like they have like a 90+% chance of having PFAS in their blood. I'm like, wow, that's a scary statistic. And so, we need to do everything we possibly can to make sure that we rid and mitigate as many environmental justice harms in our community as possible. And we have to push it. So I'm calling action is to have everybody call their state senators, their state reps, notify them that this is a thing, that we need to get two-thirds of the vote, both sides of the aisle, Republican, Democrat. This is going to impact every single person, every single community, every single demographic and geographic region in our state. And so, yeah, that's it in a nutshell. I can kind of talk forever, but I just appreciate you guys for listening. And I'm literally in the car in the parking lot, about to head in to give a keynote speech to one of our high school graduations. So I can't stay for long, but I just really do appreciate you all like having a focus on the Green Amendment and how we must get it done and across the finish line to put it up for a vote. And if it gets on the ballot, I do believe it's going to pass. So just excited and honored to be here.
Yeah, thank you, Representative McKinney. And, we're lucky to have fighters out there like you, always lifting up these issues and really appreciate you taking just a little bit of time. We know you're really busy, so appreciate you coming on and sharing some thoughts with us.
Thank you. You all have a blessed night, okay?
Yeah, you as well.
Take care.
And then from that, we're going to go on to Of course, we have some fighters in the state legislature, but we know that the real work starts at the grassroots, and that those are the people out there doing the work and lifting it up. And so I want to introduce. We'll try this again. I probably will again butcher your name, Rachel Giampetroni, and Rachel uses the pronoun she, her series of pronouns, and is a physician's assistant who has been working in the field for almost 15 years. She's also a parent to two young children and a lifelong environmentalist. She joined the Green Amendment for the Generations movement and the Michigan Green Amendment Coalition back in February of last year. And Rachel, I want to hear a little bit from you, please.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Amanda. And it's a really hard name to, it's an intimidating name to pronounce. It's Giampetroni. So I'm Rachel Giampetroni. And like Amanda was saying, I'm a physician assistant. I'm a parent. I have lived in Michigan nearly my entire life. And I went away to school, but Michigan always pulls me back. This is my home, and this is where I want to be. Um, and one thing though that has been happening that I've been noticing is a pattern of environmental degradation and harm, and it's affecting ecosystems that are really important to me and important to all of us, but also affecting our health and I've seen that firsthand, working in Flint during the water crisis and just hearing about things, like Rep. McKinney's community and, learning about some of the statistics about, I mean, all the environmental pollutants that they're exposed to constantly. And I started to realize that, just living my life and hoping that something's going to change, it's not, I can't just do that. So, spent time researching, trying to figure out where I can help. And I ended up hearing a podcast that Maya was on, and I was just so inspired by all the work that she's been doing. And I read her book. I had the audiobook, driving in my car, listening, shoveling snow. I remember a specific moment, earbuds in, shoveling snow in my driveway, and just getting so fired up because, I'm hearing stories about communities that are just being sacrificed, as if they mean nothing. And that's just awful. So, I knew I needed to do more. So I joined, went to forthegenerations.org, found the Michigan page. I'm signed up, started attending ambassador trainings and other trainings that were available because I just needed to do something to make this happen. And I love spending time in Michigan. There's so many things I love about it. And I want my family to be able to have some of the just experiences connecting with nature that I've had through my life, but without the fear of exposing them to something that's going to cause them harm in the future or potentially take away their future. So, I'm reminded of a few years ago when I was pregnant with my second child, and we went with family up to Oscoda, Michigan, for a vacation. And everywhere you look, there's signs, don't consume any fish because, there's PFAS everywhere. And, I'm sitting here wondering, can we even drink the water? What are we exposing ourselves to right now? And it's just, you know, even something as small as, well, not really small, but, we love spending time. The picture of me on the front page was the first time I got onto the river with my kayak, and my family, we like to go in the summertime and paddle around on the river, on the Huron River. And my kids love it. And they splash in the water. Um, they pull seaweed out and play around with it. And, there's dragonflies and ducklings swimming along the river. And we're spotting all these, amazing creatures. And, you know, all at the same time, I'm internally just wondering, is this safe for them? Because I don't know what's in that water. And so the whole point is, the laws we have, even though we have laws, we have these values of, believing that we should have the right to clean air, clean water, clean soil, and a healthy environment. We even put laws into our Constitution. But the laws we have, I mean, we keep seeing these things happen over and over again in communities across the state and the country. And so what we're doing isn't working, and we need something that gives people the power, that gives us, you know, the legal right in that, along with our other cherished rights, to be able to go to people, go to legislators that are allowing environmental harm, and then, hopefully keeping that consideration in their minds when they're making decisions. And if they don't, then we have something that we can use to help make that right. So that's really why I've started doing this, and I think it's really important. We can always use more people. We just really want to grow this movement because we know that there are a lot of people out there that feel the same way that we do. And if we all work together and we can really make some amazing things happen. And already, since I've started, there have been some really great progress that's been made. And we have, Rep. McKinney has been amazing. His team is fantastic with him and Svanko, and Senator Shink. It has been also amazingly supportive of us and her team. So we're just really excited for this sort of next chapter where we can really push things forward. And we'd love it to have more of you join us because we need more people. And I think we can really do some awesome things. So anyway, I'll hand it off to Maya. She's going to kind of get into the details of everything. So
Great. So thank you so much, Rachel, for that really great introduction. And you, in combination with Rep. McKinney, really help set a scene for why it is so very important that we find a new pathway for environmental protection in Michigan, as well as in other states across our nation. My name's Maya Van Rossum. I have had the honor for the last 30 plus years of serving as the Delaware Riverkeeper, leader of a 4-state advocacy and litigation organization called the Delaware Riverkeeper Network, which literally fights the good fight for the beautiful Delaware River. Over the course of the years of doing that work, I have also founded the National Green Amendments for the Generations organization and movement, and we are here to talk about the power and importance of having a green amendment in Michigan, and truthfully in every state across our nation. The founding story of how the Green Amendment movement got started and why it got started is in the book, and it's on the website, and it's another talk, so I'm not going to talk about that. But I did found the movement over 10 years ago, and we're making powerful and important progress because we do need a new pathway for environmental protection in Michigan and nationwide. So what is the Green Amendment movement? What is the Green Amendment? Well, let's talk about the Michigan Green Amendment. The Michigan Green Amendment is very literally we, the people of Michigan, using our system of democracy and the most powerful legal tool we have here in the United States of America, our state and federal constitutions, and in this case, our Michigan state constitution, to give highest legal recognition and protection to the inalienable human right of all the people of Michigan to clean water and clean air, a safe climate, and healthy environments. Now, we use the term Green Amendment and not just Environmental Rights Amendment when we talk about this initiative, because a Green Amendment is actually a special kind of Environmental Rights Amendment. The fact of the matter is, almost every state constitution across the nation talks about the environment, even talks about environmental rights. Here in the state of Michigan, there is Article 4, Section 52, that talks about seemingly environmental protection and environmental rights. But all of these states fail to put together and put forth the kind and quality of constitutional language and recognition that really does truly recognize the right to a clean, safe, and healthy environment as something that belongs to we the people, and that we the people can enforce when those fundamental cherished freedoms have been taken for us. But green amendments are different, and we actually have green amendments already in 3 states. Now, I want to say every green amendment is an environmental rights amendment, but not every environmental rights amendment is a green amendment. And that is because green amendments truly, truly are different. Just in short, green amendments are carefully crafted language that gets placed into the Bill of Rights section of a state constitution, and by virtue of that language and that placement, give environmental rights highest constitutional and legal recognition and protection. There are a number of essential criteria that we strive to meet in the crafting of Green Amendment language that helps ensure this highest quality protection. But in sum, that's really what a Green Amendment is. Carefully crafted language added to the Bill of Rights section of the Constitution that gives environmental rights highest recognition and standing in the law and in the Constitution. So what does that mean in reality, right? Like what does a Green Amendment actually get us? So let's talk just in broad generalized strokes. When we have a Green Amendment, we very literally give our environmental rights the same quality of recognition and protection as we give to our other cherished freedoms. Things like the right to free speech and freedom of religion, private property rights, and more. We all know how powerfully these fundamental cherished freedoms are protected under the law because of their constitutional Bill of Rights placement and the carefully crafted language that is used to recognize these rights. Well, with the Green Amendment, we give this same quality of protection to our environment and to our environmental rights. When we have a Green Amendment in place, we are assured that all government officials at every level of government, not just the legislators, but the local town council, the regulatory agencies, the governor's office, the attorney general's office, all government and the state legislature, all government officials become constitutionally obligated to protect the environmental rights of all the people. And they must protect those rights equitably for all of us, regardless of race, ethnicity, tribal affiliation, wealth, gender, geography, right? We all have the same constitutional entitlement to a clean, safe, and healthy environment when a Green Amendment is in place. And so it is incumbent on our government officials to ensure that that environmental rights and natural resources are protected equitably for all the people of Michigan, which, as you can already recognize, right, is incredibly important and empowering for the environmental justice movement. With a Green Amendment in place and what is being proposed in the state of Michigan, we will be providing generational protection for our environmental rights. So government officials will become constitutionally obliged to protect natural resources and environmental rights, not just for those of us who are here today, but for all the future generations yet to come. And we have demonstrated in the courts, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, that having this kind of generational language isn't just, pretty words. It's not just a pretty vision or a pretty idea. It's actually legally and substantively enforceable. Our government officials must actually ensure that they are protecting the environmental rights of future generations in a demonstrable way. And if they don't, then we have a constitutional question and perhaps a successful constitutional challenge. With our Green Amendment in place, we can take critical issues like the climate crisis and transform them from a conversation we have with our government officials, trying to cajole and persuade them to take on this critical issue, to transforming it to an obligation where there is absolute constitutional clarity that our government officials must address this critical issues, right? So climate protection now becomes a constitutional mandate, not just a conversation where we hope to win over our government officials and get them to do something about it. They now have to do something about it. With the Green Amendment in place, we will ensure that all government officials in the state have a constitutional obligation to protect the natural resources of the state, and they have to protect those resources for the primary beneficiaries, who are the people of the state. Right? So when government officials are protecting natural resources, they must do so for the benefit of the people, not prioritizing profits, not prioritizing political agendas, but prioritizing the needs and values of the people of the state that will be benefited or harmed by how natural resources are treated by government officials. I want to stress that Green Amendments and the Michigan Green Amendment is not just reactive, right? We're not just reacting to harms that have happened in the past, but with the proper language, we are assuring that our Green Amendment is anticipatory and that we can prevent pollution, degradation, and harm before it happens. And very, very importantly, the Green Amendment is actually enforceable by we the people. So when our government officials, when our laws fundamentally fail to protect us and protect our environmental rights, we the people have actual legal power to do something about it. And that is one of the reasons why government officials want to comport with it, want to comply with it proactively, because they know if they don't, they can be held accountable through the justice system. Now, at this point, there are already, as I noted earlier, there are already 3 states that have a Green Amendment: Pennsylvania, Montana, and most recently, the state of New York. But now, just over 10 years into the Green Amendment movement, we also have Green Amendment proposals advancing in over 20 other states. And Michigan really is at the forefront of that movement with high quality language that will make an incredible difference for the people of Michigan once it's secured. And we have the strategies and the leadership that we're seeing from Rachel, from Bill, from Gloria, who's on this webinar, and from others, are strategies that are inspiring other states to want to follow suit. So Michigan really is at the forefront of this movement. And by securing a Green Amendment, advancing the movement, you are doing a wealth of good to the people of Michigan, but you are also helping to inspire and support what is happening in your neighboring states that also need this most powerful protection. This is the actual proposal. This is what the Michigan Green Amendment would look like. And so I just want to highlight a few things. It will be added to the Bill of Rights section of the state constitution. So it will be placed on par with property rights and the right to free speech, right? And get that same quality of protection. It will ensure that every person has an inherent it will recognize that every person has an inherent and inalienable right to a healthy environment, and enumerates what we mean by that: clean water and air and soils, balanced ecosystems, a stable climate, and the preservation of the natural, cultural, recreational, and healthful, meaning human health, qualities of the environment. The amendment is clear that the state and all government officials within the state may not take any action that would infringe on these environmental rights, and they must protect these rights, again, equitably for all people. The language is very clear that the state's natural resources are the common property of who? We the people. They belong to we the people, including future generations, and that our government officials must serve as a trustee that will seek to conserve, protect, and maintain these resources for the benefit of the people who are the actual owners of the natural resources. And then we've got some very important legal language. We make clear that these rights are enforceable directly by the people. Even without that language, we would have that enforceability. But this kind of additional element to the amendment removes any doubt, right, that the people can enforce the constitutional entitlements included in the amendment. So that's broad strokes how the amendment works, how it changes things. But does it really make a difference? Well, it does. And we know that because we can look at how green amendments have been used in the 3 states that have them. In the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, there is a landmark legal victory. This is actually the founding of the Green Amendment movement, where I, in my role as the Delaware Riverkeeper and my Delaware Riverkeeper Network organization, use this kind of long ignored constitutional entitlement in the Pennsylvania Constitution to defeat a devastatingly pro-fossil fuel, pro-fracking law that was going to exponentially expand that devastating industry within the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Is fracking and fossil fuel development still happening in Pennsylvania? Yes, because the frackers got there before a living, breathing Green Amendment. But we have been able to use this amendment to provide critical, powerful protections. And in this particular instance, to stop this devastating law that really would have had severe exponential consequences in terms of how the industry was allowed to proliferate across Pennsylvania's communities and landscapes. If you heard about the Held v. Montana case, where our children's trusts and 16 youth took on a state law that prohibited government officials from considering the climate changing ramifications of their actions and decisions, that case was victorious because its foundation was the Montana Green Amendment. And now not only was that law defeated, but now it is very clear that the issue of climate change must actually be considered and addressed by government officials in the state. We have used the Green Amendment in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to secure cleanup of long ignored supersaturated toxic contamination at a very dangerous site that was government officials were ignoring, actually looking to have developed with residential development. But once we got legal life breathed into Pennsylvania's Green Amendment, we were able to use it to turn the table and secure cleanup of this site. This is something that's ongoing and happening now. The Green Amendment has been used in Pennsylvania and Montana to defeat permits that were improperly issued that would have allowed the devastation of remote natural ecosystems, irreplaceable ecosystems. And the Green Amendment has been used proactively and positively in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to protect the last remaining pieces of open space in urbanizing communities. One of the most powerful uses of the Green Amendment is for government officials to use it proactively and positively, so we avoid the litigation because we've secured the protection in the first instance. And there are so many more examples. If you go to greenamendment.org or forthegenerations.org, takes you to the same website. There's a resources page. There's a link to all sorts of examples of how green amendments in Pennsylvania, Montana, and New York are being used to make a real difference. And data centers, right? We have this massive proliferation of data centers in Michigan, across the nation. And one of the problems with data centers is just like PFAS. It was allowed to proliferate, and they are advancing so swiftly because of an absence of legislation or regulation, or because we have laws that are too weak to protect our communities and our environment. And these data centers are allowed to just swoop in and literally strip away critical benefits of a clean and healthy environment. Well, we are demonstrating, particularly in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, how having a robust Green Amendment like the one being proposed in the state of Michigan can be used by communities to protect themselves from the proliferation of data centers. We have a new document. We have an actual data center toolkit for Pennsylvania's Green Amendment, very specific on how to utilize it, because they already have their Green Amendment. But we also have some information about if states like Michigan were to secure a Green Amendment, how could it be utilized to help you in your data center battles, just to give you a sense of how it can help make a difference. So, the Green Amendment movement here in the state of Michigan, we have a powerful, positive, collaborative coalition that has formed. Again, Rachel, Bill, Gloria, and others are key leaders in this movement, and we really are making change and making a difference. And this year's announcement on Earth Day of the Michigan Green Amendment was a powerful step forward for the state of Michigan. So we hope that you'll go to the migreenamendment.org website, that you will sign up as an individual in support, or if you're representing an organization, sign your organization in support, and that you will get involved. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to Bill Knapp, one of the key leaders in our Michigan Green Amendment Coalition and movement, and he's going to tell you exactly how you can get involved.
That's right. Thanks, Maya. Thanks a lot. I'm so grateful for the work that Maya does, and it's worth noting that we are so grateful for the partnership that we have with MyCan. We are at what could be considered stage 2 in our journey, now that there is a joint resolution in place sponsored by Schenck and McKinney that have been recommended to committees in the Senate, Ag and Natural Resources, and in the House and Natural Resources and Tourism. So our path forward will need our partnerships with the Lights of MyCan, with Flow for the Love of Water, our relationship with Michigan Environmental Council, our relationship with League of Conservation Voters, our partnership with the Sierra Club, and there are many more. You'll see on mygreenamendment.org all the partners that we do have, and looking for more partners to join in. So you could join as your organization, certainly, but also as an individual. That I'll share my screen. This is pretty simple. It just is basically what Maya was talking about. So mygreenamendment.org and then /join us. That will get you to a registration page where you can put your name and your information. We've got a really powerful, mighty, but small group of people that are pushing this forward. And we need people like you and people who have a passion for this. I guess as a bookend to what has been said and McKinney said in the beginning, this is really about putting the power back to we the people, and holding our legislators, our governments, our agencies, etc., accountable for the work that they are about to do before they do it, to think about the environment. And having it in Article 1 of our Constitution will certainly do that. So go to mygreenamendment.org, join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Maya. Thank you, Rachel. That was fantastic. I'm sure people have some questions. And so you can drop any questions you have in the chat. Also, feel free to raise your hand if you would like to ask your question out loud. And we'll see if we get some answers for you.
And don't worry, if you don't have questions, I still have answers.
That's fantastic. Yeah, Gloria.
So I'm Gloria, and I am a part of the Michigan Green Amendment. And I have a couple of questions because this is some things that I hear, and I do want them explained a little bit more for anybody listening. So, and some of it has to do with lawsuits. Some people say that the language is very vague. Clean environment, what does that mean? So have there been any challenges in any of the states to the question of meaning? And also that because the Green Amendment is self-executing, doesn't that give like a big open door to private parties to bring any lawsuits? Although in my feeling, we're so grassroots, we don't have money. So, so we can't get the lawyers other than Maya. And then the other question is, well, what is the cost of this? And my idea is always like, what is cost compared to the real harm that is being done for generations? So Maya, I'd like you to address that.
Lots of great questions. So thank you, Gloria. Let's go through them one, two, three. So first off, when it comes to the language that's used in our Michigan Green Amendment is appropriate. It's appropriate for constitutional language that's placed in the Bill of Rights section of our Constitution. We need this kind of broad language because it has to be able to cover the entirety of the issue, and both what we know today and what we don't know, but we'll learn through time. When we look at the right to free speech, when we look at the right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures, all of these kinds of constitutional Bill of Rights provisions use appropriately broad language for the same reason. You're covering an entire, right, like area, and you want to make sure that you're embracing all of the potential issues that need to be addressed. How the language gets interpreted and applied, that's part of the process. That's part of the process with all Bill of Rights provisions. We have our government officials seek to offer definition, to apply the amendment. When they do it in the right way, we all stand behind them and applaud. And when they do it the wrong way, we have the opportunity to challenge it in court. That same process is what has defined for us what it means to have a right to free speech, what it means to have private property rights, what it means to have the right to freedom of assembly. We have a pretty good handle on what those fundamental freedoms mean at this point because we've had them, for hundreds of years, literally. But we still have questions. There are still challenges as society evolves and new questions and concepts emerge. So it's actually one of the beautiful elements of the language. It can and will stand the test of time, just like we have, just like other fundamental freedoms have. When it comes to lawsuits, the only lawsuits that anybody should be concerned about are frivolous lawsuits, right? Lawsuits that do not have a basis in fact or law, right? That they're just being used to try to harass others or to inappropriately advance a legal claim. We have had zero frivolous lawsuits in any Green Amendment state based on Green Amendment language, right? There are no lawsuits that have been dismissed based on a Green Amendment or dismissed as being frivolous based on a Green Amendment. Now, we have seen some lawsuits, but we have not seen an onslaught of lawsuits. Maybe in any given year, the number of lawsuits that actually make it to the court level, not challenges at the regulatory level, but that actually make it into the courts on the order of a dozen or less, right? That's not all that many. And every single legal challenge, whether it's at the regulatory level or those that are making it to the courts, are about serious issues of significant environmental and community concern. Whether they win or they lose, they're really important issues of concern. And the outcome gives us more definition of what it means to have this kind of constitutional right. When it comes to cost, you really hit it spot on, Gloria. Environmental pollution, degradation, and harm is itself very, very costly. It's very costly economically. It's very costly in terms of jobs. There are many, many jobs that depend on a quality environment. It's very costly in terms of the loss of our health. Right. And as Rachel said, the cost that we have to pay to get our health restored because it's been so damaged by exposures to pollution in the water, in the air, in the soils, in the environment. So when we have a Green Amendment, we actually avoid a lot of costly harms, whether they're physical costs, economic costs, or emotional costs. But we also generate a lot of income. Property values go up. We create good quality jobs that are advancing good quality environmental protection, like clean energy jobs, right? So we actually create a tremendous amount of economic value by having a clean and healthy environment. we attract industries to want to come to our states because the workers want to come there. We have healthier workers that are able to make it to work every day and do their job, not be home because they're suffering from an asthma attack or a heart attack that's been induced by pollution. So we save money and we make money when we have a green amendment in place. It's really a tremendous upside all the way around.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Maya, for going over all of that. And I just want to lift up in the chat, Christine asked about the League of Women Voters Environmental network. And so I don't know if you all have worked with them. That's more of the statewide network. And she mentioned Sandra. And so that's a group that we also partnered with to do our data center webinar. And yes, fantastic group of people that care a lot. So if we can help with making any connections, we'd love to. And I think that's, while people think of other questions, I think that's on the right track, right? We need to think about, we need a very large coalition to put past the legislation. And so thinking about groups that you know of and you're involved in that may not know about a green amendment, may not yet be involved, and how we can get them involved in this.
And exactly. And if you have, if you are part of a community of faith, part of a Rotary Club, part of another environmental organization, the Green Amendment has powerful and important impact for all of us. So whatever group or community you're a part of, if you think you'd like them to learn about the Green Amendment message, be in touch and we'll be happy to do so, especially if it's a community that you think might be opposed, right? They need to hear the message too, because they need to get accurate information about how the Michigan Green Amendment's actually going to be helpful to them. And, we need to address any oppositional concerns. So we're not afraid of any conversation with anybody because we know that the Green Amendment is powerful, positive, and important, and will only do good things for all of us.
And that's fantastic. Fantastic to hear. And what a way to inspire us all, right? It's not all doom and gloom. There's some great just solutions out there, and the possibility of the rights to clean air, clean soil, and a healthy environment. That's a really great way to end my Thursday, is hearing something so inspiring, and knowing there's something good we can all work towards.
So
Well,
while we're waiting, right, for other questions, as people are thinking, a few of the other points of concern or opposition we hear about, we hear that the Green Amendment's going to have unintended consequences. That's never explained what that is when it's used as an oppositional point. But the truth is, a Green Amendment actually avoids unintended consequences because it really does make sure that our government officials are doing their due diligence to really think about environmental impacts and environmental rights before they take action. People have raised concerns about, well, what will the Green Amendment mean for clean energy? And we actually hear from the energy industry, often the fossil fuel industry, trying to assert that the Green Amendment is going to be harmful for clean energy progress. And really quite the opposite is true. The Green Amendment helps advance good quality clean energy projects. I mean, all the way around, the Green Amendment helps advance the good. And if there is something that is good but needs adjustment, it can help make those adjustments in a proactive, positive way.
that's fantastic. Gloria, you had another question?
Yeah, Maya, when you were just talking, I read that where the Green Amendment can be used as a pawn to delay renewable energy projects. What are your thoughts on that?
The fact of the matter is, not all clean energy is created equal, right? We often hear of projects being advanced under the guise of clean energy that really aren't clean, right? Hydrogen, not clean. Fracking for fossil fuels, not clean. So in those contexts, the Green Amendment really comes in very directly in helpful ways. But we have seen clean energy projects like solar arrays, that where the developer wants to go in and literally cut down hundreds of acres of forests in order to build a solar array. Is that really a wise decision? Is that the right place for a good quality clean energy project? Maybe not. The Green Amendment will help ensure that government officials are thinking through all of the facets of that decision making. And so maybe we'll get adjustments in terms of siting and construction practices and operation practices that can take a project that was not so good when proposed, but actually make it positive. When it comes to good quality clean energy projects, a green amendment is nothing but helpful because we have to remember clean energy helps us address the climate crisis. It helps us protect the water, the air, the biodiversity for present and future generations. And so because the green amendment creates those obligations for environmental protection and good quality clean energy projects actually help achieve those goals, green amendments help advance those projects. They give them a leg up, particularly a leg up over the the dirty fossil fuel projects. And as I said, they can also help, secure needed adjustment when a project could benefit from adjustment. There may be times when there is a clean energy project that will have significant environmental rights implications. With a green amendment in place, the government officials will be forced, they don't necessarily have to say no because there are other constitutional obligations in play. What may happen is the government officials may have to say, look, we understand that there are going to be environmental rights implications of this clean energy project, but addressing the climate crisis is a compelling state interest. And we must accomplish that as well. And we must protect future generations. And so when we look on balance, about regarding the impacts and the benefits, including the environmental rights impacts. On balance, we have deemed addressing the climate crisis and protecting future generations is a compelling state interest that that requires us to make the decision that this project should go forward, despite the fact that there might be some environmental rights implications. But in order to render that decision, the government would have also had to do everything to ensure that the footprint, the impact on the environmental rights was minimized, right? And that's a good outcome. So you might still see the impact, but it's going to be the smallest degree possible. And we will have assured that government officials did that really important quality thinking and didn't just check a box and say, looks good to me, I'm going to let it go, right? It makes it all much more mindful, much more thoughtful, and much more protective. How might this help with invasive species issues? Melissa asks. Well, Melissa, it depends really on how and why we're seeing the proliferation of that invasive species. So that's sort of in a vacuum. It's hard to answer that question. When it comes to the Green Amendment, what we are looking for is that government action or activity that is resulting in the harm. And so we're going to want to know, what is the invasive species you're talking about? What is the impact, and what is the government action or activity that's causing that invasive species proliferation? When we have that level of detail, we can then think about how the Green Amendment could be brought into play, potentially to help address that kind of critical issue.
Yeah, thanks so much for addressing those questions. And I know we had someone in the chat that wanted to be connected. It looks like that's been addressed as well. Appreciate all of that. I think we've got some email addresses to connect with anybody involved with the Green Amendment. If we can drop those in the chat, that would be helpful, so people can reach out and get involved.
And the other, false assertion that we see is, well, that the Green Amendment's going to result in litigation between neighbor versus neighbor. I swear to God, I'm not going to be able to have a backyard barbecue because my neighbor's going to sue me. Or I'm not going to be able to walk my dog because it might poop on my neighbor's property, right? Or there was actually one who said, I'm not going to be able to go fishing because I can't wash the worms in the water. I don't know what that one was all about. But the fact of the matter is, when, just sort of referring back to what I said before, when we're talking about a Green Amendment, we are talking about government action, right? So just like you telling me to shut up can't possibly infringe on my right to free speech because you're not a government official, right? With the Green Amendment, so we're looking for that. What is government doing that's making me shut up? That's what's subject to the right to free speech. The same thing happens in the environmental Green Amendment context. We're going to be looking for that government action or activity that is causing, creating, or supporting the violation of the right. We will not see litigation where neighbor versus neighbor, neighbor versus farmer, farmer versus company is supported by a constitutional Green Amendment argument, because they are not the ones obliged to protect our environmental rights. It is government officials that are obliged to protect our environmental rights. Therefore, the amendment can only be utilized meaningfully in advocacy and legal action that's speaking to government actions or activities. So don't ever let anybody say that a Green Amendment's going to result in litigation of neighbor versus neighbor, and that you're not going to be able to walk your dog, cut a tree, or have a backyard barbecue. Right? When I say cut a tree, right, cut that single tree in your backyard. We've heard that one too. It's really about what government is doing and making sure that government is doing its job of protecting our environment and our environmental rights and not infringing upon them through its actions and activities.
Yeah. Thank you for breaking that down. And I don't know about everybody else, but I could sit and listen to Maya speak for a very long time. I'm getting more and more inspired as you go on. So really do appreciate it. I've learned so much tonight. I'm sure everybody else has as well. It's really next steps for everybody on this call, anybody that watches this later, sign up, get involved with the Green Amendment for Michigan. Tell any of the groups that you're involved with. Reach out to Maya to have her come speak with some of your groups, right? And just share the information. Let people know. People, as we know at MyCan, most people care about these issues. Most people want to see action to protect our environment, have clean air, clean soil, clean water, and making sure that they know that there's a solution out there and that we can all fight for it. So again, I appreciate you all coming on and sharing such great information with us, and hope to see it advancing very quickly here and having a Green Amendment in our Constitution here in Michigan. So thanks again. Thank you to everybody. In the chat, you'll see all the links to get involved, reach out. There's some email addresses there if you have any questions. Thank you to all of our speakers for tonight.